Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IO Edge, where industrial organizational psychology meets the fast-paced world of modern HR. I'm your host, Dr. Jacqueline Minor. This podcast is dedicated to HR professionals, managers, and IO psychologists looking to lead with insight, strategy, and confidence. Whether you're an HR professional looking to level up or an IO Psych grad wondering where you fit in the business world, this podcast gives you the tools and insight to lead with purpose. On today's podcast, we will discuss HR data with a human lens, elevating the hiring process with IO psychology. Joining us today on the IO Edge is Dhavalkumar Joshi, and he asked me to refer to him as Dhaval. Dhaval is a rising professional in the field of industrial organizational psychology. Dhaval recently earned his master's degree in IO psychology from Purdue University Global, building on a foundation that began with a bachelor's in computer and information technology from Purdue University in 2016. With hands-on experience in organizational management, workplace motivation, training and development, and HR practices, particularly through his internship in healthcare, Dhaval brings a thoughtful, evidence-based approach to enhancing workplace dynamics and employee well-being. His strengths in research, data analysis, and strategic HR support make him a valuable voice in conversations about talent optimization and organizational performance. Dhaval is currently seeking opportunities in human resource management, or IO, roles where he can apply his academic insights to real-world challenges. He's also a proud member of the National Society of Leadership and Success, reflecting his commitment to growth and impact. Welcome, Dhaval.
Hello, how are you? And thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. All right, so let's dive into Dhaval's journey and explore how modern IO psychology is shaping the future of work. So, Dhaval, what inspired you to pursue a master's in industrial and organizational psychology, considering that you have a background in IT?
I think I would say that it's your own passion. When you're young, actually, you always pursue what is around you, what is going on in the market in terms of good pay, also the kind of life that you're visioning when you're in 20s, especially in the undergrad students at any university. However, as you get into your 20s, you somehow start to divert your mindset, and then you think what else you can still offer and what else you should pursue in terms of gaining more knowledge. And I think usually individuals says that let's go by your or with your passion or interest. And I think that's one of the key factor that kind of got me into the psychology as a field. However, I was not sure what I was going to do or what was my aim, but I knew that I have something where I can thought about to combine both human resource and the psychology field, and to see how do they merge and how they can help each other to be more efficient and be more effective across all the organizations.
Okay, so Dhaval, if I hear you correctly, you would be considered a triple threat. I thought I was a good as a hybrid, but you're a triple threat in this, especially since the world is moving to AI. So there's going to be a lot of AI in HR that's helping, as you just said, with the efficiencies with work. So I think you're on to a gold mine here. So you're going to be very marketable to any potential employer who's wanting to snag you up. So hopefully after this podcast, you'll get plenty of offers knocking at your door. All right. So Dhaval, how did your coursework prepare you for real world HR challenges?
I think if you think about it, HR, human resource management, and the IO have a lot of similarities. Where the IO psychology focuses more on the scientific methods and data analysis and also in the human behaviors, the HR focuses on recruitment, the assessments, and performance management to hire individuals for the respected organization. But if you think about it, if you put the psychological principles in the human resource management, you can understand the the employee performance issues if any organization is having, such as the communication issues, the collaboration issues. So those aspects kind of helps the human resource management itself to have low turnover issues and more retention ratio if you apply those principles in the human resource management. So I think the data analysis, and now as we see the rapid growth of artificial intelligence, I think all of those tools are really crucial for us to make the human resource management, the field itself, more efficient and more productive for the current and the future objectives.
That is wonderful. I couldn't agree more, because I do feel, for me, after getting my doctorate in IO, I did feel like working in HR all that time and then getting my degree in IO was a happy marriage. And I always say that. I'll say that until I can't say it any longer. Having an IO lens allowed me to be a better HR professional, in my opinion. So, okay. So, Dhaval, can you walk us through your role as an HR analyst intern? Kind of tell us what you did as an intern.
During my last term of the IO psychology program, I was enrolled in the healthcare organization as an HR intern or the business analyst, or I would say it's sort of a consulting individual where my objective was to analyze the performance of the leaders and the supervisors, and then make sure that I provide the appropriate and recommended training for them to be more effective and basically to increase their efficiency in terms of managing their own staff members, handling the workload management. And also, there are a lot of are hesitant to even ask for their employees, such as if they require any sort of a training. So I think it's important to understand what the employees are also looking for to improve their work ethic, to improve their performance. So my goal was to basically to prepare questionnaires, such as 7 or several set of questionnaires. I would then arrange a live session, such as like 15 or 20 minutes of a meeting. I would ask the same questions to all the supervisors, and then I would gather those qualitative data. I would analyze them, and afterwards, I would ensure that those data have the relevancy with what my recommendation is going to be, because that is the organization mission that also important that I give them recommendation which benefits them as well. So I was acting as a mediator between the employee and the employer. Therefore, I prepared those questionnaires, arranged those meetings, and thereafter, obviously, I collected the data. I put all of those data in the PowerPoint, where I used the PowerPoint tools, where I would use my data analysis tools, such as the number of the supervisors that I was supposed to interview, and were they all involved in this assessment, or was there any individual who did not take part for numerous reasons? However, I was able to achieve 100% ratio onto that, because I was really flexible in terms of arranging those training programs. But it was really in terms of challenging to understand their own tasks on the daily basis, because how can you improve something if you do not know what their daily routines are? So my objective and my purpose was to dive into their daily performance, ask to research on it, what their day-to-day activities are. And after researching those, then I was able to familiarize myself with that, what they actually need, what they are looking forward to, what they are lacking in terms of resources. And during this journey as an HR intern, I was coordinating with my HR director as well on the weekly basis to make sure all the tasks which has relevancy with the assignment that I was giving. So I was constantly collaborating with the director through the emails or through arranging the live sessions, just so we are on the same page. So I think that sort of a consistency is crucial when you are an intern. And also one of the other challenges that I have experienced was it was remote work. It wasn't an on-site or in-person scenario. It was completely remote where I have never met those individuals before. So in those couple of months, my workload it wasn't that much. It was increasing yet, but I was so keen to fulfill all those assignments and those objectives. So I was just self motivated. I was excited. It was something that I wanted to discover before, landing a professional job. So I think my own encouragement, my self motivation, and just love for this field made me a better individual in terms of understanding all the aspect of the organization, learning about them, learning about their human behavior, and also strengthen the communication by sustaining the professionalism during my internship.
Okay. So, in essence, the survey data was influential with the organization's decision, um, per se, with making sure that leaders had the necessary skill set or can frame up conversations. So, it sounds like you did a lot of shadowing. Even though it may have been remote, you still were able to connect with the leaders, get a better insight on what their day to day was like, and then see if there were any gaps in either their processes or their communication. So what do you feel was the outcome, or what were some of your recommendations after completing these surveys?
I think the recommendations, because also on top of that, I would like to add one thing is that after preparing that whole PowerPoint presentation, which was the final project, I had to make sure that I integrate psychological theories in that presentation. So it finds more relevancy with the recommendations that I was about to give to the board of directors of the company. So I gather all that data. I wrote it down of best of my knowledge, which I actually learned throughout my courses. And afterwards, I told all the leaders to just be transparent with me. You can say you are allowed, because that non-verbal contract, and also if you give them a freedom, if you give your interviewee freedom to express themselves, I think it benefits not only them, but it also benefits the company, because we are looking for the resolution. So I gave them that freedom of expressing themselves, what they are uh, going through, what are the difficulties that they're having. So because I was honest about it, they were able to express their own conflicts or any issues that they were having. And I took all those vital and crucial data from them, which actually was to make a difference in their organization, because they were suffering from a higher turnover ratio and a higher lower retention ratio. Employees just weren't staying with the organization due to numerous reasons, such as strict policy. Since it's a healthcare company, you have to understand that the policy is going to be the strict. Also, how much time do the leaders actually put into their new employees? Do they engage on the day-to-day basis? Additionally, what are the resources are available to them if they have any sort of a confusion of certain tasks that they are operating? So those minor things, if you do not focus on at the beginning of the new employee's workday on the day-to-day tasks, I think eventually it can get into the bigger issue. And at that time, they would have make up their mind to just leave the company. So I wanted to cut that down. I wanted to improvise from the beginning. What are the issues was? And I think by asking those questions, I was able to overcome, there was a individual who was a facility director who wanted to learn more on or focus more on the technical skills, such as operating Microsoft Excel, or he wanted to present himself as a presenter. Also, he wanted to attend certain conventions so he can learn more skills. Even though he was with the company for a decade, those basic skills he was still aiming for, or you can say that he was never given an opportunity to learn those skills due to his workloads. So those sort of things. Also, there were several senior managers in the companies. There were several junior managers. Some individuals became a supervisor. However, they weren't sure whether they're doing their job or not perfectly because they did not have a prior leader or supervisor experience. So I had to make a plan, or let's say a training plan, where you can prepare a leader. Even though they are in the position and they are making decisions, yet they were not sure the decisions that they were making are really affirmative, or let's just say they are accurate or not. So those issues I came up with it. Also, there were a lot of middleman issues, such as we can say that there was not a transparency between the management to the employee. There was a third party who was involved in their
Really?
ongoing project. So the supervisors wanted to have a direct communication. So that way they can lower down any sort of a miscommunications,
Right.
for the project, so the project do not get delay for any reasons.
Right.
So
Right.
those reasons I was able to find out during my interviews. And also there were a lot of overwhelming workload due to, as I mentioned earlier, low retention rate of the new employees, because some individuals do not know how to even interact with the patients. Because, if this is a healthcare facility, you cannot expect, I'm speaking on behalf of the employees who have just joined the healthcare organization. You cannot expect everyone to have that good positive conversation, because if you can talk those conversation with your managers or with your directors of the company. However, when it comes to the patients,
Mhm.
you're gonna have the different response than you will get from your managers.
From your leaders.
So
Right.
those individuals also needed more information on how to tackle those sort of behaviors if they go out of the hands. So as I mentioned, and I keep repeating that there was a lot of training was required.
Right. Right.
So I was able to gather all that data, and I think I really enjoyed all those discussions with the supervisors as an intern at the healthcare organization.
Okay. So
Yes.
Dhaval, this kind of reminds me of the listening sessions that I conducted recently with our employee experience team. And it's very similar going in and, interviewing several of the staff. I think we were looking at the MA medical assistant population. Same thing. The concern was reducing turnover and really trying to understand what employees were needing in order to retain them. So that seems to be a very recurring theme. But you also mentioned something that was very interesting because the healthcare industry has not rebound from COVID, in my opinion, so far as staffing is concerned.
Yes.
So with this IO lens, it seems to be that they're suffering from a lot of burnout. And, we in our area are very conscious that that could be happening. So I know I make a very conscious and deliberate effort to ask leaders, how is your staffing? Are you guys good with staffing? Are you staffed 100%? Or are you still dealing with staffing shortages? A lot of the departments are still suffering from staff shortages. So, we're asking employees to do more with less.
Exactly.
Can relate to that.
And to your point, I would like to add one thing is that as we see, there's a lot of attention is now being given to the mental health crisis, which we have never seen it before. Companies across the board knew about it, even the employees knew about it. But since the COVID pandemic, we have seen a huge shift in terms of employee well-being, work-life balance. We have seen a lot of growth of various type of work environment or work settings, such as remote, hybrid, on-site. So the organizations are now being actually serious about ensuring that the employees stays with their organization by giving them this sort of a leverages where they are free to work the way they want, as long as they are being productive, because now they want to spend some quality time with their families. So they prevent, or they are being, you know given that opportunity to not have any distractions, basically, to spend more time with the family, and they can balance both of their personal and the professional lives, because the money is not that the employees now in the modern world are giving more priorities, as they are giving more priorities to comfortableness, to where they can not only enjoy the personal life, but at the same time they can focus freely without any sort of restrictions, or having to worry about a minute late, or let's say I'm 5 minutes late. Because if you have a lot of distraction as an employee where you're
Right.
working, it will be tough for you. It's not impossible, because it's also your personality. If you're a stronger personality, you may be able to tackle this minor distraction. However, everyone is different. Everyone has a thought process is different. Everyone has their own issues which are different from one another. Also, we have a cultural barriers. People are born and raised in different environments. Their thinking are different. So I think this sort of a things in terms of employers focusing more on the mental well-being of their employees is making those employees more happy, and I think that can elevate the positive employee experience, and also your organization can just have those good and productive workplace environment. Even though it is from the various work settings, you can still have those positive outcome due to this focus.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I know with my dissertation, it actually looked at factors involved in job stress and organizational commitment. So, with that, my plight in life is to make sure that employers can understand or identify when their employees are in distress.
Distress.
So that yields back into the mental well being of someone. Psychological safety comes to mind. And I think you mentioned it during one of the feedback that you had in one of your questions, that the managers were free to express themselves. And I always try to make sure that if I'm interacting with a leader or even an employee, it's to let them know that they are psychologically safe in this space. So that way I find that they're more willing to share information when they know it's a safe space, that they're sharing thoughts, ideas. There's no judgment with that. So definitely can see how IO professionals can help with improving the employee engagement as well as the development. Because when we're looking at the data to be able to offer recommendations to organizational leaders, a lot of times I too am recommending training, because that seems to be a gap at times where people just need, I always believe in equipping people with the skills that are necessary to help them be successful at their job. And some organizations, training just falls by the wayside, but they're wondering, well, how come we aren't able to keep people? Well, if you train them and you give them the tools that they need to be successful, they probably will stay. And I
Exactly.
know a lot of, as you mentioned, organizational leaders are thirsting for information so that they can be better. So, I can definitely see how your work in this space contributed to the overall confidence of a leader. Because once they are armed and equipped with this information, they're more confident in their ability to lead their teams. So,
Uh, to your point, I would like to, as you, I think, asked me the question earlier, I would like to, I don't know if I answered that or not. You asked me about how the IO psychology can benefit the human resource in terms of the theories. Because if you look at it, in the IO, you have a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have also you have a lot of assessments such as 360-degree feedback. You have a big five personality tests. So I think having those assessments, implementing in the HR management can also help you to learn more about your employee needs as well. Because not always the employees are looking for the good compensation or work-life balance. They must be looking something else, because the needs changes.
mhm.
Usually, if you are the newcomer, you always thirst or you always desire the good financial compensation where you can satisfy your basic needs. But after you work for the same organization for a couple of years, your needs change. Your
Right.
perception change about the work that you used to do. So I
Mhm.
think those applications of the psychological theories can also help the leaders of the human resource management, whether you're HR director, HR manager, human resource business partner, to learn more about your employee needs. And I think that can be beneficial for them, not only to satisfy their employee needs, but also to be more, be more impactful in terms of making a decisions.
Right.
And you don't have to, and you can prevent those unnecessary drama that can cause the work environment get more toxic, and so I think it's the psychological theory can help in the human resource management to get or strengthen their bond with their employees. I think which is the crucial part of any organizational culture.
Right. I have to agree with you. So, Dhaval, one last question for you. So, what's next for you in your career journey?
Well, that's really great question that you asked. At the moment, as I'm energetic as I was ever before, I see myself working with any organization in the human resource management as an IO psychologist, helping organization to ensure their day-to-day operations work efficiently and work with more productivity. I got involved in the human resource as just an employee. I was not part of it. However, I had a daily interaction in my previous and current work, and I acknowledge that there are a lot of issues can be resolved with the simplest plans, simplest changing of behaviors, understanding the collaboration. And I think this is my perception, this is where the most of the issues generate, where you don't have any communication. In any organization, whether it's a healthcare, whether it's a retail, it can be information technology, it can be any healthcare, you name it. I don't think so any organization can survive with the weak communication among or between the leaders. I think that is what the most of the organizations have an issue with. And due to now as we see the AI, artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, and the way it's taking over a lot of jobs, and most of the companies are now integrating those systems in their organization. And having my background in the computer information technology, I can say that it can be a really good combination of collaborating both all three, such as the IT information technology field, the industrial organizational field, and the human resource management field, to be more impactful. And I think they can help out each other as well, because now you're ensuring the employee well-being, mental health. This is what you're tackling with. You are ensuring that you have a good amount of work-life balance in your organizations. You are ensuring your hiring process work fairly and professionally without any biases. You are ensuring that you are fulfilling the objective, which is the ultimate goal of any organization. So I think I see myself more of as a consultant, because this is the kind of the work that I have done in my internship program. However, I was associated with the HR department, excuse
Right.
me. So I thought that, okay, it can also help you to learn more, to be familiar with the employees of the organizations, their issues. And I think it just gives you an idea how you can approach to certain issues. And I think you have to use your own knowledge and own perspective as well. You can learn about the theories, you can learn about the softwares, and you can also learn about the HRIS systems. However, when you have all of that thing presented in front of you, now how are you going to move forward with this? Then you have to analyze from your perspective on what you see is the best and most suitable recommendation for, which can benefit the organization, not only for the short run, for the long run as well.
Right. Well, Duval, I really appreciate you joining the show today. I do know that you're actively looking for that forever home from a work perspective. So I encourage any employer that is listening who is needing a knowledgeable brain like Duval to please reach out to him. We will have his information posted. Duval, we are able to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so I will be sharing Duval's information, and I do wish you well in regards to your job search. Okay, Duval, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. Minor. It was really great seeing you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Dhaval. All right, guys. So this episode of the IO Edge was brought to you by Minor Consulting Group, whose career coaching service helped clients like Dhaval navigate the job market with personalized guidance, strategic insight, and unwavering support. So learn more at minorconsultinggroup.com. Thank you all for tuning in to this podcast. On our next episode, we will explore workplace investigations, psychological safety meets HR compliance. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify to stay connected to the conversation at the intersection of psychology, business, and human resources. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Minor. I'll see you soon.